All right, good morning, good morning. So today we're going to still trade the same thing we traded the last 2 days. So basically, we're going to do an opening range kind of break, just using the first 3 minutes of the U.S. stock market, which we've just passed. But we're going to do it with the Power Trader Pro indicator as our kind of our strength meter to see what's happening on the larger time frames. So down below on the bottom of the chart, I have the Power Trader Pro indicator set up on a 5 minute. The top bar here is a 5 minute. The middle bar is a 15 minute. And the bottom bar is a 60 minute. Okay. Now you'll see over here on my rules that I've marked both those in red. They're both bearish right now, the 15 minute and the 1 hour. So these are the rules to the setup, and I'll go over them as we go through. But basically, we're always looking at the 4 hour time frame first. So when you come to the charting, you need to get here early. You don't want to get here right at 9:33, right? Or 10 o'clock, right when you trade, or 8. You want to get there a little early, and we're looking at a signal possibly coming up. So let's get ready. We'll do 10 contracts today. So we're waiting on this candle to see if it closes past. So right now the candle is scooting, and we have 12 seconds left of the candle. So if this candle closes below this low, then a couple things we're going to do. We're going to place the trade, place a stop, place a buy limit order to close out partials. So there's our trade. So let's go ahead and sell first. All right, we're going to come in here, and we're going to place a buy stop. Let's get our stop on right in the midpoint. And then we're going to adjust this down to 1 or down to 9. And then we're going to come down here. And what we're going to do is place a buy limit order. And that's going to force the close of our partial. Now, I said you might want to cheat it. You have to look at lows. You know, there's things you have to think about while you're trading. Okay, we're not even at really a 1-to-1. But if we look at where our buy limit order is, it is at take profit 1 according to the indicator from where our stop is. However, your entry, right, that 1-to-1, that mid box is from the bottom row line here, the low. Okay, so that 1-to-1 mark is basically from that low. So we're offset a little bit. The other is here. We're looking over here at this bottom, okay? So that being said, it may not get to that low. So we would want to actually just kind of cheat it in a little bit. I don't ever expect an instrument to get right to the bottom, right to that low. Now, it may, okay? But look what we just did. It went down, okay? And we'll mark the point it went down to. And now it did just go to the low. Okay, so it did, but sometimes it won't. Sometimes it'll barely get there. So now at this point, we've already had a profitable trade. Happens very quick sometimes. And then we would want to move our stop down and adjust it. So I need to adjust the contracts down to 1. Okay. So that's been adjusted to 1. And then do we move our stop or not? Okay, so I've got 10 contracts we put on. We profited. And then we have 1 runner, and I can choose to leave my stop where it is and be willing to accept that loss on the 1 runner against the gains I've locked in, and I'd be fine with that, okay? It'll take out about 1.5 of my contract gains here that we locked in. The other is we can move, since it has moved past this area, we can move our stop down to a midway point, the quarter stop area. So you either move it to, you either leave it where it is, you move it to break even, which would be, right in here, or you move it quarter stop, So that would be your quarter stop area. This would be our half. That's our quarter stop. That's halfway across the box, basically. So you would move it up, and if we moved it up right there, then we're minimizing our potential loss. We have a potential loss right now against the gains we've locked in. You have to think about this, be methodical, deal with it, make your decisions, live with them. So I'm going to leave it there because it has plowed down through this line here, which is a 4-hour support and resistance level for us. So let's go over the rules over here on the box. So basically, we always go, before we look to take a trade, before we sit down to trade, so get there an extra 15 minutes early, we always look at the 4-hour time frame. We will draw and modify our zones, our 4-hour zones, our 4-hour support and resistance levels, and 4-hour trend lines is what we want to modify. Okay, we want to look and see what the what the 15-minute and the 1 hour says. And they were both bearish. Okay, they were both red over here. Once it opened. Okay, once we had the first 15 minutes, because before that at 9 o'clock, that vertical line, we had two of them out of sync that were green. But then they came back around during that first initial fall. Okay. Entry rules. So the entry rules that we've made up for this is basically we're going to have, and this has not been updated. Let me see. Nope, I'm going to just pull that one off. It hasn't been updated for us here. So I updated it last night, and it did not update. But basically, our entry rules are this. If a candle closes on below the low, we're going to get in short. Okay, if it closes above the high, we're going to get in long. And then we're going to put, like I did, we put a buy limit here at level 1 to close partial. We want to automate that, okay? So we want to automate this as much as we can. Well, automating it, if we're going to place a trade and you're going to manually say to yourself, you know what, I'll do it manually. When it pulls down and hits TP1, I'm going to go ahead and close out 9 contracts. That's you making a decision that you're going to close it out. Now, when the time comes and it drops like this, what typically happens in your mind is you're actually saying, you know what, it's really dropped quick. I'm just not going to close 9. And you'll leave the whole 10 on, and then you'll see this drop, and then you're like, okay, I'm glad I didn't close the 9. And you would be, right? You'd be more in profit. And then you'll start seeing green candles pull back, and then when do you close out your 9? Okay, it comes back to this first level, and it pulls back up, and you're like, man, I wish I would have closed out the 9 here. You start getting wishy-washy with your decisions. You go, man, I wish I would have done this, wish I would have done that, because it pulls back to TP1, or it pulls all the way back to the box, pulls back to the low. And when it pulls back there, then you're going, man, I really should have closed, right? And then what happens tomorrow it only goes to the first level, and you're saying, yep, I'm going to pull it out manually because I know what happened yesterday, and when it gets to TP2, I'll close out the 9. And it drops to 1, and you don't close out 9, and then it pulls back. You don't get your chance because it never pulls to TP2, okay? So you need to make up the rules ahead of time and deal with it and kind of move along. So we could move to stop to break even. Now it has hit the second level. I like it to break a level before I move a stop, but I'd be comfortable moving it down some, okay? Because we're on the runner, we're in it for the long haul. On the runner, we're in it, we want to be in it all day if we can. So a couple things I want to do is I want to look off to the left there, and we see 2 well-defined lows, okay? Let me close a couple things here. So we see 2 well-defined lows over here. We see this low, and I'd want to mark those. As we go down, go ahead and mark your lows, and those are kind of our line of defense, okay? Price has turned at this point for a reason. Price has turned at this point for a reason. Pulls back and bounces, So that being said, mark those areas because price may turn at those levels again. There's no guarantee in trading. There's no guarantee that those levels will hold up They held up a support here and held up a support here. There's no guarantee that if the instrument pulls back up, it's going to hold up as resistance. But we're trying to put the odds in our favor. We're stacking the odds in our favor. If I pull my stop down below this 4-hour support and resistance line, if I pull my stop down there, aren't I really asking to just, go ahead and take me out? If I pull the stop that close, if I were to move it clear down here, pretty much saying, hey, here you go ahead and take me out. All right. But I'm not willing to give up yet. So where do we move it? I feel comfortable moving it to break even. So we'll go ahead and move it to break even. All I did was right click and hit this no overlap so you can see the trade. Right now you can't see it. So I just go ahead and pop no overlap, which kind of moves it down. It doesn't mean the stop is moved. The stop is still at that price point. Okay. You'll notice the stop price over here on the bar to the right, 2841.8. And when I hit no overlap, it's still 2841.8 over there. Okay. So the stop line looks like it moved, but it really didn't. It's still at that price point. It's just taking it out of the way so I could see how much we're up. So far we have a good runner, good trade early on. What is it? 9:44. We're not even 15 minutes in. We know it at 9:45, 10 o'clock, it may turn, which for us would just be a pullback. We're already in. I'm going to go out and see what was locked in on that trade where we closed partial. Let me go pull a report real quick. Okay, so we locked in 188 is what was locked in on that. Was that right? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 189. So we closed out and locked in 189 on that. So not bad. So my goal on this account is 500 per day is what I like to lock in. And it logged me out. Hang on. I hate when it does this to me, and I don't know why. Let's see if we can get this logged back in. I'm going to have to shut down TradingView and restart it. This is wonderful. I don't know why mine does this. I don't know if other people's does it as well. Never really asked. I just deal with it. Let's see. It does not have me logged in. Now the next thing is going to be, will it come back on the charting here? Now it's not going to want to come up on here on the platform or on the. Wow, I'm sorry guys. Well, I'm trying to get this back up and running. Because it has moved down to TP3, and I'm going to move my stop down to between those 2 points, or right at one I showed you. I know you can't see my screen. There you go. All right, so we're back up. Sorry about that. I don't know why the platform logs me out like that. So far it has moved down. So again, let's look at our levels. So we marked these two levels of support resistance. I'll go ahead and take the lines off those. I'm going to kind of take and remove my lines as I go today. And you'll see the screen move like that. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the screen so it won't. And that's because the next profit level, it was popping up. As price moves through level 3 here, what will happen is level 4 will pop up. And what happens is that makes the screen go kind of wonky. If you have this set up like this, to where it's set tight, If your auto fit, your auto adjust here is set and locked, what will happen is as price moves again past level 3, level 4 pops up, and it makes your screen bounce. It makes your charting bounce. So the way to avoid that, of course, is come over here to like the sidebar. You can turn off the A, is the easy way. I just normally come over here and do this. I just tweak the chart a little bit, and then you can move it up manually. That's all we're concerned with right now is I just leave it. I don't care what happened way over here right now because we're looking at 4-hour levels. So we had our 4-hour level, our 4-hour support and resistance level. Making sure everything's on, the mic's on. So our 4-hour support and resistance level, we've locked in $189 on the trade. Again, I'm looking for 500 on the day. Now, last night I did some trading in the same account, and I did it on gold. I come in at 10 o'clock last night, and it was actually 10:02, and I sat down at the computer, and at 10:02 I started trading gold, and in half an hour I was pretty much done, but I went ahead and traded it through to, I think it was 11:30, somewhere in there, but about an hour and a half, and several trades, and I got up to like 1,300 or something. It's out there on the Discord. I pulled the report and popped it out there so you guys could see the trades and all. Left my last stop runner out for a potential loss against the gains, and I did. So I lost back like 113 on the last runner. So it was a fun night, several trades. I had, it was 4 or 5 trades, and then I had 2 where I stacked in and left those on, and then when it dropped quite a bit, then I went ahead and closed out, because by that time I had 3 runners. So I had 3 runners from I think it was 4 trades I put on, had 3 runners from the 4 trades, and then stacked in 2, so I had 7 on, and then it moved quite a bit, and I closed out all of that, or most all of that. And I was glad I did because it triple bottomed, and that was it. So again, we're looking at 4-hour levels here. We have this 4-hour support and resistance level. It kind of plowed through that level, but then it hung out below it a little bit. It tested it as resistance. Okay, so it did not hold up as support, but as price kept banging against the bottom of it, it held up as resistance, popped down. It's turned mid-zone. This yellow zone is what we call mid-zone. If it's a red zone, it's our all-time highs, okay? The only time you'll see a red zone is at an all-time high, and that's what we mark. The green zone is at a lower level, and that's basically going to a 4-hour chart, pulling it back in. As much candles as you can get right here on this one chart width on a 4-hour, then we mark a green zone at the bottom. We'd find a low, a turning point, a swing on a 4-hour time frame, and mark a green zone. And that's our lower zone. And then we would look to buy on that zone. When it gets all-time highs, we look to sell if we get structure change. We have to have structure change at those 2 points. Same here. Right now we're looking at it. It's hitting a mid-zone, the 4-hour. So this isn't just the ORB strategy. It's also, we're taking into account with the Power Trade Pro indicator down here. We're looking at right now all 3 times are lined up. So what are we doing? We're going to hold short. Nothing is telling us right now that we should be thinking long. We're going to watch structure here. That's our last point. Okay. So we got in because candle closed below the low. There's your sell signal right there. Okay. Because that candle closed past the low. So we got in short, went down. We had our buy limit. It closed out. We got profit, 189. We've inched our stop down a little bit because it did hit PT3. Now, again, I really like it to close past a level before I move my stop to a level. So whether you trail it 2 back, we're a little more than 2 back. It just hit this. If it would have closed past level 3, I would definitely have it set on 1. But I'm kind of giving a hair more room just in case we get a deeper pullback. So, and then it pulled here to level 2, and then we had it bounce between that, and it's almost like it's respecting our level 2 here, right? That line. But ultimately that 4-hour time frame, it's testing that. But then when it pulled through and hit level 3, it's really come back. And it's funny to see this because the only reason that line there that says 2 is off the indicator. Okay, that's the only reason that line's there. But it's funny to see it come down, bounce at the top of it, respecting it as that price point as support. And then here, after it broke, it pulled back and respect that as resistance right now for at least a few candles. It may not hold long term. We would want to draw a retracement line for those that draw retracement lines. So we would have a retracement line on this move up right here. It's kind of hard to draw sometimes because you're trying to say which candles should we go off of, but we definitely have this move up. Okay, these candles swinging up, that would be our retracement line. So we're looking for it to pull back. So if you're not in, you can get in. What I'm hoping is, and it would be nice to see a sell signal come up with that, but we're not going to get it. In order for a sell signal to come up off the bottom indicator, the top bar would have to go green. Okay, it would have to be green and then go back to red. Okay, so the middle bar, the bottom bar, let's say they stay red. The top bar goes green. Okay, and then it turns back red again. And it looks like it might be going green now. So the deeper it pulls back, the more chances we have of it going green. So as it looks like it's testing the backside or scaling up there, the backside of that line back up to test the 4-hour support and resistance level, it looks like it might turn green. So if it goes green and then we get a red candle, then we might see this go back red. And that would be your chance to sell off if you want to take another trade. So there's multiple ways we can do that. Do we want to get in with 10 contracts like we did the first trade? Do we want to get in with another 10 contracts on this second trade? Or would you like to get in with less contracts? These are all decisions you should make ahead of time. We've got some time. Okay? So we have to decide, are we going to put on a 10 contract trade, or are we going to limit our risk against the gains we've already locked in and go with less contracts? Okay? So those are the decisions you should make. And if I was going to get in short right now, we're waiting for this candle. We got 30-something seconds, so we'll see how deep this candle goes. If it's a huge candle clear down to this bottom, then I will not take the trade. If it hangs around up there, then I'll take another entry and put our take profit down in here. So we need to be quick about placing our trades. And ultimately, if I got in short here, the stop there's okay. It's going to be tight. So we got about 7 seconds. 4, 3, and a 2, and a 1. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and sell. And I need to change the stop real quick to 11. And then since we're going to leave one runner from each. And we're going to come in and do this. We're going to put our buy limit. Now I'm going to inch it up in between. I'm going to put it at the inside bottom. I know that's tight, guys. But this is an inside bottom right here. The inside bottom is basically you get a swing down and up. It's the inside of that turning point. So we have our low, right? We have a swing down and up. So we have our low down here, but we also have our inside bottom. That's the inside of that turning point. So it's that red candle right there, that red and green candle. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our order there. And again, I know it's tight, but that may be all it hits. It may only go, you'll see time and time again where, and it doesn't happen all the time. Again, we're looking at placing the odds in our favor. And a lot of times we will see price go down and turn at those inside bottoms and then go back up. Well, what does that mean? If this price goes down right now and turns before it hits low, turns at the inside of this low, okay, over here. If it turns there and pulls back up, well, that's a higher low, okay? Has to come down, and then it turns. It might be turning here. This might be the higher low. I don't know. But that's why we're putting that buy limit so close. So we're a little lopsided on this one, and that's just because we didn't really have a lot of room here. If it would have pulled back deeper, and if that red candle wouldn't have been as long, well, then, of course, we would probably be more at a 1-to-1 on that. But we're not because of, and it's not due to anything we're doing. It's because of it didn't pull back farther, and then this red candle's kind of long. So it chewed up, okay, this red candle, because it could have been a shorter red candle and given us a sell signal, right? It just happened that it chewed up a little more of our potential profit in there. That's why I said if it was a really long candle, if it would have came down and this red candle been down to the inside here, I would not have sold it at all. Because I know that may be all it goes, and it may not even get there. We'll see. So right now we do have a full potential loss of our complete. You know, we put on, or I put on 10 contracts earlier, closed out 9. Got the $189. I have a potential risk right now to lose all that because we have 11 contracts on right now. The reason why I'm only closing 9 here is because I'm going to leave 2 runners on. Right now we put on 10 over here, and then on the first trade closed out 9 when it got to the first level. And then we put on another 10, and I want to close out 9. And that leaves 1 runner off this trade, and that would leave 1 runner off this trade. And right now it's pulled back to that level 2. We'll see what it does. Now, again, I locked in enough in gold last night for 2 days of trading. So technically I was done already before I got up this morning. I was done last night with today and technically tomorrow. But I count those. You guys know anything over 500 goes to my bonus. So as of last night, with around 1,100 and some change locked in, I locked in today's trading and then 500 or 600 and some change over to the bonus for the month. Or if you want to take a day off of trading, then we have that day locked in already. So not really wanting to see a loss on the morning. If we do, that's okay. That'll just come off the bonus, the monthly bonus, bank, whatever you want to call it, where we're locking in more than the 500. And yesterday we locked in 698 on this. So with the 698 yesterday, you know, boom, 500, the day was complete. And I kept going a little bit. And the extra 198 goes into that bank to help cover, like, potential loss today. Yeah, it's pulling deeper. Don't like that. We'll see how it reacts to the 4-hour. And this can't make you gun shy. So if it pulls back and I get a stop, that's 1 winning trade, 1 losing trade. I'll take another. You have to decide when you're going to be done. Now, some people are only looking for that 200 a day. I've gone over that before, lots, you know, and I kind of relate it back to construction because that's what I used to be in. But in construction, in a lot of businesses, a lot of jobs, people working, if they're making $20 an hour, which for here, that's typically what you're starting people out anymore. I know in construction, well, $20 an hour, 8 hours a day is 160 on the day. So technically over here when we closed our first trade, we were done. If we were trying to subsidize or, capture more than that, more than working an 8-hour day, making 20 an hour. Well, technically we were done. We had 189 instead of 160. So you had your daily wage and then a little bit of bonus. You could have been done. We could have been done at the first trade. And that happened very quick. What were we, 3 candles in? Well, we had the sell candle there. 2 candles later, 2 minutes after entry. Since we're looking at minute candles. So again, about being gun shy, we make that decision now. If we get stopped out, or are we going to get back in? Right now, we will be at a loss on the day. If you look at over here on the order, we're at 325, okay? And we've locked in 189. Now, I mentioned that earlier on this sell signal. How many are you going in with? I went back in with 10, but I mentioned that. We went in with 10 over here, locked in for the day. How many are you going in on the second trade? Are you still doing 10? Or are you doing, 6, 8, 4, 3, 5? Are you going in with less contracts on that because you've already locked in this? Every extra contract you add on, if I would have went in with, 2 contracts on this second trade, well, we wouldn't be this much in the negative right now. If I'd have went in with 4 contracts, 6 contracts, we wouldn't have been this much in the negative right now, okay? So you have to decide that ahead of time. Over here, we got in with 10, locked in 189. Over here, you put on 4 contracts. So your potential loss is smaller, okay? It's up to you guys. This is all about your account management, your risk tolerance. For me, I'm comfortable with the 10. Part of that has to do with what I locked in last night. If I wouldn't have traded gold last night and locked in what I locked in, I probably would have went in with just 4 contracts there. But because I banked so much extra last night, an extra 600 and change, well, and then the day before, yesterday morning, we locked in extra 198, we're up over $800 on our bonus. So that's quite a bit. So, yeah, if we lose back, on this trade, it's going to wipe out the 189 we locked in, but then some of what we locked in last night. And I'm okay with that. It's not a big deal. You can mark a retracement line here. We have this, nice move up. I'd go ahead and take it to that tail. Technically, it's already broke it right there. We had these nice candles pull back. It's broke through that. It's right at the 4-hour level. That does not mean it won't wick up and take us out. That remains to be seen. But we did get the higher low in here like we talked about, remember? It pulled down, and I really wanted to see it go to the inside bottom. Technically, it probably did. So I have my order right here, okay? But if we would move the order there, so basically I'm kind of moving it up. Let me get it out of the way. I'm moving it to where that white line is. If we move the white line right there, it almost tapped it there. We still wouldn't have been, our profit target still wouldn't have been hit right there. But see how it went to the inside bottom and just turned right there. It didn't even hit the exact price, but it turned right there. Okay. And again, that's, when it turns like that, comes down, we're shooting toward the inside bottom, starts turning, you're getting green candles. Well, that's our higher low, When it start getting green candles up here after these couple, 2 green candles, you're saying, okay, that's definitely a higher low, which is not good structure for our short position. So I said it might wick up and take us out. It wicked up there a little bit. So happy to see the red candles, but here's the thing. Let's go ahead and mark out the inside bottom of this turn here. And it's going to be these tails right here, these wicks. So we have a wick on that candle. We have a wick on that candle. It's right where our entry order is. So we have those wicks right there. Okay, the highs of these candles and the highs of those candles, that's technically our inside bottom of this swing. Is it going to get past that, or is it going to turn before that? Right now it's coming down, touching that number 2 line, and if we look to the left, what do we see? Okay, look to the left, look at all this. It came down, stopped at that line. Okay, kind of hung out there. Over here, came up, stopped at that line, kind of hung out there, right? So it's come down to that line too again. Is it going to stop and turn around here? So again, that's what we're looking at, right? What's it going to do over here? Is this going to be a turning point? That will not be good for our short position if it turns. Doesn't mean it's over. We're seeing a gentle pull up. We're seeing higher highs, higher lows, which is bullish structure. Now, do I want to limit my risk right now? I could close everything out. We got 189 locked in. I could close everything out and have, 179, 180. Basically, I could close this trade out, be done, and wipe out everything I made on the first trade if I want. I could wait, and if it pulls back through my price or pulls down here and breaks to break even, close it all out and have no loss against the gain. Or I'm going to wait, and it's going to stop me out. So as it pulled down, and that's okay to say that to yourself, and that's why I want to point out. Now, I'm okay with it coming up and hit my stop, but I wanted to point that out, that we're definitely seeing bullish structure, okay? We're seeing, we're seeing higher highs, higher lows, right? We have a low, we have a high. Basically, it pulled back here, the red candle. Okay, that's not much higher, a little bit. And that kind of wicked down a little bit lower than a higher high, and it looks like we're getting a higher low. So that's bullish structure. Okay, that is not bearish structure at all. So we have our bullish structure, which is not good for a short. So it is 100% okay for you to, again, preserve capital, manage your trade, and if you want to close out right now, close it all out, close part of it out. I could close out 10 contracts. The other 10 I added over here, okay? So it's pulled down, and the 10 I added over here, I could close out those 10 and just have that one runner on from over here, just in case, okay? I would leave the one runner on, but I could close out the 10 now. That's okay to do that. You're managing your trade. It's 100% okay to close it if you want. I wouldn't close it all. I always like to leave one runner on. After all, if you're in a profitable trade, I don't like closing profitable trades. I like to let that runner run. Now, I am going to draw a line across from this low here to this low here, and we're going to see what it does with that. So again, this low and this one. And that's basically what's come down to here. So let's see what it does there. I'd like for it to break it and pop down with a quickness, but we'll see. We could mark across the tops. You guys know that sorry, guys, still fighting a cold here. You guys know I end up with a lot of lines on my charts. So I'm trying to be mindful of that and not drop a lot on here. But this would be, basically you can call it a trade line down. You can just mark it red if you want. I'm just going to do that because it'll mark it red for us. But basically, as we look at this wick high here, this wick high here, we draw this red line. That's what we're hoping holds up right now and pushes us through the green line. But this was a nice bounce around the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour support and resistance level, wasn't it? There's our 4-hour support and resistance level. Right now I'm 67.50. You have to make that, again, decision. We're almost back to break even. Would you close this out? These are decisions that you make while you're trading. You have time. Every minute passes by. We're not doing anything else. We're only watching one instrument today. I'm not watching the normal 6. So we've just been doing one. I decided to show you just the one chart view. The last 2 days, if you want to look, the videos are out there. Those I showed the multiple different charts. Basically, they were all 1 minute charting, but they had the opening range, either the first 3 minutes like we have here, where we have 9 o'clock to 9:33 and waiting on that break, or you have the first 15 minutes, okay, which is where? Right there, the first 15 minutes, and you wait for a load to break, okay, in which case you'd probably be in. So we could look at that. So if you waited the first 15 minutes of the U.S. stock market, well, here's your high over here. Your low is right here, that wick on that red candle. And this candle here, this little red one, closed just past that. And that's what I mentioned yesterday again. That is a close past that. You would get a red signal like this to short. How far do you want that to pass? Now, I went ahead and took this one. Okay, this was our signal. That candle closed just past the low, and I went ahead and took it. So if I'm taking it, even though it's just past the low, would you have taken this one right here that closed just past the low? It's awful close, okay, if you look at that wick to that low. So is that something you take, it being that close? If you do, then you would have been in and been in the negative the whole time, okay? And your stop would be about in here, mid-level, or halfway between that low and that high. So someone waiting on 10 o'clock is right here. Now, I'm not going to switch the indicator up. The last 2 days, I've had 3 different charts up where I've had one set up the first 3 minutes, one set up looking at 9 to 9:45, and one set up looking at 9 to 10. Okay, which 9 to 10, or 9:30, sorry, to 10, and 9:30 to 9:45. So your high would be here on all 3 of those. No matter which trader you were, your low for the 10 o'clock entry would be here. So you're not in. And then if you waited the first 15 minutes, you might not even be in because you might not have taken that little just barely closed past. You might say, well, I want it to close a little bit further than that. So you might not be in, or you might be in the negative, okay? So that's the difference where we're already in. Right now, this is panned out to go and looks like it's good. We've experienced good trades on this so far, just waiting in the first three minutes. But I will tell you, when I went back and looked at the back testing, because the indicator, you can come take this indicator and show historic data. So it'll show this same indicator on back. You can come down here to charting. You can turn off the, I don't know if you can see it on there. Yeah. So you can come in here and turn off the electronic hours. Electronic hours is 24 hours a day. You could turn it to regular hours. If I do that, it only shows what it does is cuts off, and I went ahead and did it, but I don't want to pull the charting back. What it does is it cuts off the 24-hour period, and it only shows the regular trade hours, which is 9:30 to that 9:30 to 4. So it'll show that on the indicator or on the candles only. So that's a good way to back test. If you're back testing, do it that way. Go back and switch your charting on regular hours, because you're only looking at trading this during the U.S. stock market. So there's no use in you scrolling back. I don't want to have to scroll back through the charting and go back through 24 hours to see yesterday's setup, this indicator. I don't want to have to scroll back through 24 hours if I could just set it on regular hours, and right there it is. Okay. Now, looking back, there's several days where it was messy, just back and forth and back and forth. So those are some rules you have to set up for yourself, because there are days where it came down and gave a sell, pulled back, hit the halfway point, loss, came down, gave another sell, pulled back and hit the halfway point, loss. How many of those do you take and you say, I'm just done? Okay. I would only take 2. So I wouldn't sit there and take 2, 3, or 3, 4, 5 losses. There's no need for that. You can fight another day. You can trade another day. So you have to decide how many are you going to take. So we had a winning trade here. We almost had a losing trade as it pulled back. So if we would have taken the losing trade, I'd take one more entry, which would have been right here. Okay, we just got that sell signal back here. That would be the third entry. So we could take that entry, being that we had that loss, or would you have been done? Okay, and just said, I just claimed a losing day. Or as I mentioned earlier, as this pulled back in here, right now we're still 100 in the hole. We were at break even. Price came down here and, turned. Where did it turn? Right at this inside bottom right here. Right at that turning point right there. Right where our entry order is, right where that white dotted line is that I drew across these wicks, these tops. So right now it's pulled back to that inside bottom. Looks like it could break this trade line down. Okay? Which is, again, what is that? Well, it's not good for our trade. It is a lower low. We're getting lower lows and lower highs in here. On this little move down, we have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high, we have a lower low, we have a lower high, we have a lower low. But we're down on a 1-minute time frame. So if you're looking at the bigger time frames, like a 3-minute, 5-minute, well, this is just a swing up and a swing down. You're ignoring the 1-minute noise in there. All right, sorry about that. I was not talking. I muted the mic for a minute. So again, we did hit break even. We were back to 0 on these 2 candles here. So during that phase, when it came back, what could I have done? Okay, we're looking at how could we manage this? What different ways can we do? We were in the negative quite a bit because of that new 10 we put on here. What could we have done over here? And I mentioned as it pulls back down, if you close off part of your trade, that's okay. I'm still always going to leave one runner on. So again, when it pulled back here and we were at 0, okay, our order was at 0, I could have closed those whole 10 off. The 10 we put over here, could have closed off the 10, limiting my potential risk against what we locked in. I didn't do it. So now we're back up to where we were before, and we're risking that whole amount again against what we gained. So now I'm looking at that loss again. So we could have went ahead, though, and closed out the 10 there at 0 loss on the 10. Okay? Nothing gained, nothing lost. On the 10 we put on here, when it pulled back and we were at 0, we could have closed out the 10. Locking in 0, taking out 0. Just no risk, no gain. On the 10 we closed and still had the one runner, and then the one runner, we're back to basically our original trade over here. We got in short, closed partial, one runner on, and the one runner would be taken out. Okay, but instead I chose to leave mine on, hoping it would run down through. It did not, and we technically over here, of course, this low here, even though these are lower lows, lower highs. Okay, on this move down. When it turned here, it basically gave us a higher low than over here. So we're back above the 4 hour. We're back to that level 1. We'll see what it does. Again, it could wick and take me out. It didn't do it over here, but it looks like it's going to do it here. And we were at 400 in the hole, so 413. So we're going to lose about 420, 425. We only locked in 189, not quite 200. So let's see, 420, 190. So we're going to have about a $230 loss if it hits the stop. Now, again, I'm okay with that, but I traded last night. Or you're okay with that because that is a losing day if you just stop. See, here we go. There we go. All right, so we do have to come down and close this order since our trade's taken off. So right now we're at, I'm going to write this down. We're like 230. And then we have to decide, do we want to get in? Do we want to trade again? Right now we have a loss of about 230 on the day, or at least on this session. Okay. Do we want to potentially look for another entry? What would that entry look like? Okay. I'm going to take a few things off. This line's coming off because this low broke it. So we're going to take this off, get it out of the way. I'm going to take couple of these lines off here, get them out of the way. I'm going to clean my charting up a little bit. It's okay to leave these on if we want, but I want to kind of look and see what we have going on basically with the candles. I'll move this over here. So we definitely have higher highs, higher lows swinging, right? So we may see it switch to a buy signal. I don't know if that'll happen here soon. We have two time frames right now that are pulled around to the buy. We have the 5-minute, 15-minute, and then the 1 hour is still red. So we might be seeing a buy turnaround. So I definitely want to draw this back across like these two lows. And I'm going to go ahead and just mark this as a trade line up. That's a potential trade line up if it pulls back and bounces and we get a buy. Very slow, but it happened. We're not going to get a sell signal right now. So even if it pulls back, we won't get a sell signal because that middle 15-minute time frame has been green for several candles. So I can just tell you it will not come up right away. So it's going to kind of play out here. So those this signal really wasn't that great over here where we got a sell. It didn't hardly pull down. Now this one was okay. We had a sell signal here, and it did pull down. It just turned at that inside bottom. That's all it did on these two swings. Turned at the inside bottom. That's why you have to be, I don't want to say cautious, but that's why you have to know about them. If you've never heard about inside tops and inside bottoms, you have now. And that's why you have to be aware of them, because price may turn at those. That's what happened here. We have the inside bottom here. This red candle came down. It stopped at that inside bottom and turned. Okay, this came down, stopped at that inside bottom and turned. Okay, this one here came down and turned. It turned basically at this inside bottom. Okay, there's your swing down and up. The inside of that swing, that's where it turned. So when it doesn't make it to the low, if this right here, if this swing down right here, okay, the second sell and swing down, if that swing down would have, now if you wanted to get in long, you could now, and it would be less contracts. It would be a pullback trade because we do have the 2 time frames in green. You could have done it earlier here, but I just held my position. But you could get in now. It's a little riskier because it's against the 1 hour, but that's okay. You can take that trade. Okay. But getting back to this, if this swing down here, okay, if that low would have came down and been at this low, that would have made a double bottom. Okay. But instead it turned at the inside bottom, the inside of that turn, and made a higher high. This one came down, turned at the inside of that turn, made a higher high than this one. Or, sorry, higher lows. So again, we're really looking to, we can go short or long, but we're waiting to see what kind of signal we get. Now, in order for this 1 hour to switch over to green, it's going to have to move further up. So even if it pulls back, it's going to have to go further up to give us a green 1 hour bar down there on the bottom. So do we want to take a little riskier trade, right now and get in? It did come up. It did test this high right here, kind of bouncing right there above it. We got green candle. Is it moving back? Is it going to move back to the start here at 9:30, the U.S. Stock market start? So do we want to go back in with 10? If I'm placing a stop, where would I place a stop? It would be below the green line. Basically, I want it below that bottom right here. So let's go ahead and trade that. I am considering this a riskier trade because, again, we're trading off signals. We have two time frames that are green. So this is just considered a pullback right now. As long as the 1 hour is red and the other two are green, it's a pullback. Over here, you have the 15-minute and the 1 hour red. The 5-minute is green. What is it doing? It's pulling back. So when they're all red, it's moving short. When a time frame turns green, it's pulling back. So you have the 5-minute here green, okay? And what's it doing? Well, it's pulling back. That's what it's telling you. It's turned green, it's pulling back. So basically it turned green here on that candle. Well, it pulled back some, tells you it's pulling back, and you that is a retracement then. And then boom, it breaks the retracement line, right? We had a retracement line here. That arrow was the red candle. That could be your sell ahead of this signal. Okay, that's your basic regular charting technique. I do need to put a stop on this. And then we'll adjust this down to 1. And we would come in and put a sell limit of 9. I'm going to go a little tighter. I'm going to keep it kind of below this green line here a little bit. And I know I'm putting it at risk because I'm putting it at the inside bottom right there. Technically, keeping it out of the way, this would be way out of the way. Pretty good. This would be further out of the way. I don't really want that. That's too much risk for what we've got on today. The other would be a tighter stop up here under this low, okay, because it was more sideways there. We have the high here. Or keep it right under that 4 hour, okay? So I'm going a little bit back further than the 4 hour support and resistance level. Again, we're trading that retracement as it's going back. And we're almost at a 1-to-1. I think a 1-to-1 would be up in here a little more. You turn that off. Yeah, it needs to be up a little more. It's either you do something like this, and yeah, we're right around 1-to-1 there, or you take your trade tool. I don't want too much on the charting, so. And oh, sorry guys, moved the wrong thing. Anyways, take your trade line tool, mark where you got in, and your stop, and there's your 1-to-1. So there's our stop. 1-to-1 is about right there, halfway across the box. I'm not going to leave that on. This is too much stuff on there. Now I'm going to trail the stop as we go before it hits the TP1 or that, sell limit. So a couple things you can learn from this is, one, we got in good with 10 contracts. We had 189 locked in on that first trade with the runner. Got in on the second. On the second, think about this for future trading for you. On the second, are we going to get in with the same amount of contracts or less? Okay. Again, we did 10 over here, closed 9, left 1 on. Second trade here, I did 10 today. Are you going to do less? Are you going to do the same you did on the first trade? Let's say you place 6 contracts on the first trade. On the second trade, are you going to do 6 again? Are you going to go in with 4 or 3 or 2? Are you going to go in lighter? Okay. So you're not risking the entire trade. I risked the entire trade, and it come back to bite me. We had a bigger loss. So again, when you do that, what are you doing on the next trade? What are you doing on the next trade? Okay. Are you doing the same amount? You're doing less. Right now we're in the negative a little bit. I expect it could pull down to that 4-hour support and resistance level to test it again. Where are we at? About 10:30, 10:36. So we're just an hour into the market. And remember, I mentioned that earlier, that a lot of times around that 10 o'clock time, you'll see the instruments turn. Not always. And that's what we saw. It actually started turning here at the 9:45 mark. That vertical line is 9:45. So depending on how the traders trade, the person waiting from at 10 o'clock, waiting the first half hour of the U.S. stock market to be over, where it's 9:30 high here, 10 o'clock here, and that's your low, they're not even in. They're just kind of watching. Or as it pulls back to the halfway point, some of them will actually short it there, which we're about to that point. Or we did hit it. Looks like we did hit that area. Just another slow mover today. There she goes. Right now it's testing the previous high back over here. But I really think it's going to pop down to that 4-hour support and resistance level and just kind of check that. It may not, but it wouldn't surprise me if it does. We could, of course, draw a retracement line down through the tops here, from, let me turn the magnet back on, like this high here on down. And we'd be kind of watching to see what it does with that line. It's right now it's scaling down that line. And that's what I said. I kind of expect it to go to the 4-hour. And then we'll see what it does in there. Is it going to bounce? Is it going to bounce? Is it going to pull all the way down through the 4-hour and bounce in here? It may take us out on this one. We will see. That's the best we can do with that trade. Again, we could have had to stop down further. I just didn't want to risk any more than that, what I've already got up, because we have had a losing day right now at 2:30. So we're going to see if this trade can make up for that. Again, we're taking it against the 1-hour time frame. We're okay with that because we've had nothing but a big healthy retracement right now with all these higher highs, higher lows. All we can do is sit here and wait and sip coffee. It looks like it might be bouncing at that first bar there, number 1. Let's see what this candle does. Unless this candle can pop up. It'd be nice giving us a higher low in here. Right here would be nice. So basically, it's come back to test the bottom of that range. And again, we only marked the first 3 minutes. Okay. Basically 9:30 to 9:33. It has pulled all the way back, touched the bottom of that little 3-minute range, and it's pulled back off of it. Kind of hoping as it bounces between these 4-hour levels that it shoots up to the next 4-hour level. Since we made it back through this one here, we're kind of hoping it does shoot back up to that 4-hour level here, which would be what? Well, it would be that high around 9:30. because that's all it did ultimately over here. Before 9:30, it pulled up, went up to that 4-hour support resistance level, and then shot back down off of it. So that's why we have the 4-hour levels on here. So again, I am 230 in the hole right now on this session. Again, not on the day, because last night, again, I did over 1100. With that runner, had a small loss back because I was up 1300 something. And then the runner I left, I gave it room. And with where the runner was, it had a potential to loss against the gains, which it did. And it was a little over 100. So it did knock me down to 1100 and something on the evening. So still up on the whole day, but not on this session. This session's negative 230. I don't like trailing my stop real tight on these. And of course, we're still in the negative. But if it happens to go past this high right here, okay, if candles happen to close above that high, well, that's when I'd move my stop up some. If you're going to be following it aggressively with your stop. As price peaks through this line, that first line there, it just peeked through a little bit. What it'll do is it'll extend line 2 out. You'll see line 2 on the indicator kind of spread out here and move to the right. That's as price peaks below that. Line 1 is how it kind of works. Not how it kind of works, it's how it works. There, we're getting it pulled back to that trend line in 4-hour. And we got sell signals starting to poke up there. I'm not looking at switching directions right now. I full well know that it may pull back to that green line, that 4-hour support resistance level. So it could pop a sell signal up. The only way I'd be interested in selling it is if it breaks that green line. And draw a line across those tops right there. This gives me kind of a potential target it might pull back to. So again, drew a line from that top to that top, this dashed line, red. That gives me an area where it could pull to. It's not a guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee in trading. here's your guarantee. You're going to win some trades. You're going to lose some trades. There's your guarantee. Other than that, there's no guarantee on which way that it's going to move. There's no guarantee on how far it's going to make it when it moves a direction. There's no guarantee it's going to turn on a dime on your support resistance lines or trend lines or zones, whatever you're using. There's no guarantee to any of that. But you can put the odds in your favor. You can map out stuff like this and say, you know what? I could see it going here. I could see it doing this. So just drawing that line from this high here to this high here, and here's the thing, is that if-then scenario. If it trails down the red line, if it trails down it, under it, where could it go? Well, if it keeps trailing down the line, it's going to go right here into this area. Okay? Then if it does get to this area, what does it do? Now, that's if it even gets there, right? It could take, right now, we could see it blast through that red dashed line and just boom, just shoot up to our sell limit. We could also see it, a red candle, just right now, shoot down to the green line or shoot down through it and stop us out. That's what we could see. We could see it continue down the red dashed line over here, okay? And then if it does come down to this circle right here, if it does come down, trailing down the red line, what could happen over here where I drew the circle? Well, if it trails down there, it could bounce here, breaking the red dashed line, coming down to test the back of the red dashed line and green line and 4-hour support resistance level. So if it comes down to here, it could bounce off the 4-hour level, which is also, we have the green trend line. So if it comes down, it could bounce here. It could come up, breaking the red dashed line, and it could come down here to do what? Well, if it comes down here, it's testing the 4-hour line, the back of the red dashed line, and also the green line. So we have some strong, support there. That's if it does that, okay? But then we have to say, okay, if it comes down to this circle area, what else could it do? Well, right now we're seeing red candles, so it looks like it's coming down here. It could come over and test that red dashed line and push on through. So there's multiple things that could happen, and we don't know what's going to happen. So you just have to plan accordingly and get rid of all the things on your chart. So there's a sell signal. Again, I mentioned I wouldn't sell on that one just because we have all that support right now. We have the 4-hour support level that it's right above, right at. Okay, we also have this trade line up here off of this low here and that low here. So we full well know it might just be pulling down to test that level, and we might get a bounce. We'll see. Now, don't get me wrong. This could have just been a huge healthy retracement, and it may just pop all the way back down to this level right here, this low or inside bottom. This would not surprise me if that happens. But the reason why I said I would not take that sell signal or reverse my order was because of that. Because of all the support level we have in here. Again, that green trade line, the 4-hour support and resistance line. And it looks like it's breaking that red dashed line. So it is. And then what's it going to do? Okay. Is it going to, it's if it closes above it, for one. Again, is it just going to come up here and then come back to test the backside of that red dashed line, test the trend line here, trade line, and test the 4-hour support and resistance level. All four of those come together right there, okay? All four of them, or three, sorry, I can't count. Can't count today. We have the red dashed line, and we have the green trade line, and we have the 4-hour support and resistance level. So those three levels right here is very strong. We have those three right there. Okay, the red dashed line, the white dashed line, which is a 4-hour support resistance, and the green trade line. Support. We have three lines of support right there, three levels of support. So if it does pull back down in there to test that area, I would hope it holds up. But it doesn't have to. But that's how you trade. That's how you should be thinking. It's if it pulls, if it breaks the red dash line, I could see it coming back down to test this level before bouncing. And it doesn't mean it's going to bounce there, but that's what I'm banking on or hoping on right now. I could see it pulling back. Right now we're at zero. Do we want to just take the $230 loss and call it a day? That should be the other thing that goes through your mind. I've sat in the negative for a while, quite a while. Where did we take the 10? We took the 10 over here, and that was at 10:30, and we're at 10:54. So 24 minutes. This was where I got in. Okay, right there. So we got in. Oh, I hate when I have that on still. So that's where we took the 10 long. Okay. And that again was at, what did I say? 10:30. And right now it's 10:55. So I've sat in, we were in the positive for a little while. So here we were in the positive, came back negative. So we were in the negative. We were in the positive after getting in. The first 3 minutes, we were in the positive. Okay, then here it dropped down. We were at break even. And then here we were in the negative. So we got in at 9:30 or 10:30 on this trade. 10:35, I was in the negative. So since 10:35, I've sat in the negative till now. So 10:35, 10:55, so 20 minutes. So 20 minutes we were in the negative. It seems like an eternity. We're just watching these 1-minute candles play out. Right now we're in the positive. Do we want to, and again, you got to look at where it's at. So it is pulled up, and it's at the inside top here. Right? It's pulled up. There's our high. Okay. So we have the swing up and back down. We have a high right there, and we have the inside of that swing, which is right there. That's our inside top. That's right where it's at. Is it going to go past the inside top? Is it going to go up past the high? Love to see it go up and make a higher high here. We might not get that. It's almost noon. We're almost 11, sorry. So we may not get that. So would you close out now? Would you have closed out when it hit zero? And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to move my stop up some to protect some of the potential loss. I'm going to keep it down below these three lines I talked about, that circle, where that circle is. But I am going to tighten it up some. It's not going to help a lot. Here we are, $25, $35, zero. You know, do you just go ahead and close out 9 and say, you know, I don't want to lose much more than that. We'll leave 1 on, let it run, because we've sat in the negative for a while. It is 11 o'clock, so, you know, when do you stop your day? Do you want to run till 9:30 or 12? Or do you want to be done and walk away? As far as this session's concerned, I still have $230 to make up. So today hasn't been as good as yesterday. Yesterday was a great day on this. Multiple trades, multiple entries. Like I said, there was 4 trades in there. I think in the first half hour. And I might be getting that confused with last night. But I know we had several trades. What do? Negative 40? Are we just going to close it out and be done? It's almost at 11 o'clock. And if you do, let's say we close out right now, negative 5, negative 10, whatever. So let's say we close out right now, we take negative $20. We'd be down 250 for the day. And if it continues to go up and hit where our profit, our sell limit is, then you can't kick yourself for that. If we were to close right now and just take that little extra loss, you got to be okay walking away. And then if it goes up and hits you where your target was, you can't sit there and say, you know what, I wish I would have stayed in. I could have stayed in, would have done this, all that. Just, like I always say, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So you're making a conscious decision to do that. Because, like I said, we could, right now we're at negative 40. We could close out 9. We don't have to close out all 10. We could close out 9 and just leave 1 on. And if that 1 goes up, we close out 9 of the 10. We change our stop down to 1 and change this. We'd take the limit off and just trail the stop and just leave 1 on. Or you could leave the limit there if you want with the 1. It's up to you. I don't like I don't like closing my winning trade. So if I closed out 9 right now and left 1 on, I would remove this sell limit so that the rest of the day I could, if it keeps going up, the rest of the day I could move my stop and trail my stop. Now, if it got up to, if I had 1 on and it got up to the sell limit area, I would definitely have my stop up to the break-even point by then. So I'm planning on trailing it if it keeps going. There's our buy. We still got to wait for the candle to close. That's why I said I was going to hold my position. Was mainly over here. Mainly it was where? Remember I said on this sell, I said I would not sell on that if we got one. I said it before the sell even came up. I said if we get a sell, I am not reversing my buy. And it was because we were above the 4-hour. And then we had this green trade line up. We were up above that. And I said it has to go through the green line before I'd sell it, before I'd reverse. So you're letting part of the move go, and you're not banking in on it. So right now it is back at this high, okay, from over here. It's kind of afraid to go through. We want it to go through, but that doesn't mean we're going to get it. And it never came back to really test the backside of that green line, did it? So could that happen? Yes, it could. So again, it broke through the red dashed line, and typically you want to see it pull back to test that area, that green line, that red line, that 4-hour support resistance. That's what you want to see. Well, we didn't get it. It's just, it kind of consolidated, went sideways for a while and pulled up here. So could we get a drop back to test that area? Yes, we could. We could get this for the rest of the day, the next hour or two. That's what could happen. And then over here, it's going to get in that time push where it it's going to pop up, it's going to pop down. We don't know which way it's going to go. We're wanting that right there. Well, I really don't want that at all. I'd like it to go now. But it doesn't mean that's what we're going to get. So we may get something like that the rest of the day. So we'll hang out here for maybe about another half hour. It's 11:03. We'll take some of these off here. Told you guys I was going to try and keep up more with the lines, taking them back off. So my charts aren't super messy. I think I need a coffee maker right here at my desk. Where's my, did I delete that indicator? I did, sorry. I didn't want to delete that. I didn't notice. So right now, again, with this push-up's great. It went up to test that previous high. What's it ultimately testing? Well, it's testing our 933 low. Between 930 and 933, it's testing that low point, and we're getting that pullback. So, again, I already drew this out that it would not surprise me if it does come in there like that. So it shouldn't surprise you. If you sit there and think about what could happen, it shouldn't surprise you when it does happen. I'm not surprised we're back in the negative a little bit because I already mapped that out with that line tool I just drew, that it could come back to the 4 hour or to the 4 hour support resistance level, that green trade line. So it didn't happen over here. That doesn't mean it won't happen elsewhere. Okay. Doesn't mean that it won't happen here. Doesn't mean that it won't happen here. Okay? You can drop off as many of these as you want. But just because it didn't happen here, it broke through and didn't pull back and test over in here, does not mean it won't come back to that green line and test it somewhere. So that being said, don't let it surprise you when it does. And we wait. We do have an inside bottom. I'll draw a line on there so you can see. It's right here. So right there. And normally I'll label these. I don't always go through and label them when I'm doing this. But this would be your inside bottom or IB. So we have a low. And our low I'm not going to mark because our low is basically the 4 hour support resistance level. But our inside bottom is right there, the inside of that swing. So you have a big swing down, and it turned there, on the inside of that area. Could I see it just pulling to that inside bottom and bounce? Well, sure, that's what it did over in here. This swing down pulled to that inside bottom and turned. This swing down here pulled to this inside bottom and turned, right? So we have an inside bottom here. Could I see it pulling down to that inside bottom and turning? Yes, I could. What else do we have here? What other lines could hold it up? Price points. Well, we have this green line. So we have right in that area. So would it surprise me if it came down and turned there? No, it wouldn't. Would it surprise me if it came down to the 4-hour level? No, it wouldn't. That's not what I want to see. I don't want to see it break through the inside bottom. I don't want to see it break through that green line to pull back down to test the 4-hour time frame or 4-hour support resistance level. But could it happen? Yes, it could. So it could do something more like this, where it breaks through, hits that 4-hour support resistance level, comes back up to test the underside of that, both those lines, and then move on. That is not what I want to see at all. But it could happen, yes. So you're always looking. Look, think about what it's doing, and think about what it could do. So you're looking, you're watching the candles go. You're thinking about what is it doing? What is it telling me? What levels of price is it respecting? And what could it do? Where could it go? Where could it turn and bounce? Or where could it break a level? So what's it doing right now? What could it do? And then sip some coffee in between. And we're waiting. That's it. Nothing major happening. Grateful we had a quick move over here on the left. That first initial move down. Other than that, we've just been sitting here kind of playing with it. I did take that big loss against it. We're still sitting negative 230. And we're waiting. If you look down at the bottom indicator, it did turn red on 2 of the time frames. I don't like that, but that's because we're all up and sideways right now. So because it's consolidated, we may see multiple signals pop up and down. We don't want to see that at all. Because we had the 1 hour, or the 1 hour here, the bottom one, turn green for 3 1-minute candles, and we got the buy signal as it aligned with the smaller 2. But then right after that buy signal, it pulled back down, which turned that 1 hour again, and even the 5-minute, but turned that 1 hour again back to red. That's not what we wanted to see, but that's what we got. So there's 2 sides. There's what you want to see, and then there's what actually happens and what you do see. Was hoping this would break for us and it would turn our day back positive before we end the show today. It may not. I may cut this off, may still be in the trade. It just depends on what happens here. Right now it's 11:11. Is that right? Yeah. There's that little pullback. And again, we had a chance up here after we got in. Let's see. Got in over here. We were in the positive for a little bit. As it went to test the bottom of the box, in the negative here quite a bit. And then over here, we were back in the positive a little bit, negative, back in the positive, negative. And so we had a chance to close out some or all. Had a chance to close out 9 of the contracts at 0 loss and just leave the one runner on. But I chose to leave it all on. So right now, it's at that green line. Okay. And since it's poking down again, since price is poking down between this line 1 off this indicator, line 2, you'll see line 2 extend on out is what happens. So that's why you'll see line 2 kind of flicker over here, it'll extend it out as price pulls below that first line. So here we have it. It's pulled back. Again, always with your trend lines, trade lines, retracement lines, you can draw from top to top. I like leaving them the dashed or dotted lines. I don't like solid lines on the pullbacks. I think it just gets really, if this was like a solid red line, it just gets kind of nasty and cluttered, and I don't like seeing that. So if we did that solid like that, for me, I like the dashed or dotted line. So I don't like a full, all of them solid lines. So we're watching it, drew it from this high to this high, seeing what it does. We already know it retraced back to, where did it retrace to? Well, when it traced back, this should not have surprised you. I went over that. As it started pulling back over here, down here, I went over that. Where could it go? Well, we have an inside bottom right here. I marked it with that dashed line. Marked the inside bottom of that turn. Got to swing down, swing up. We have a low, and then you have the inside of that low area. That's your inside bottom. Okay, reverse for inside top. So I said, when it comes down here, it should not surprise you if it comes back to test that inside bottom. And lo and behold, again, we had our trade line here, the green line, and we drew the circle there, that it could come down to test those two lines as support. And it did. It pulled down, and it wicked right to those two lines right there. That green candle wicked down to those two lines. So, and then it pulled back. I love seeing that. That's what we want to see. We're okay seeing that. We're okay seeing that pullback. We're okay seeing it touch those lines. We want to see it bounce there. Will we see it bounce there? I don't know. So again, you're always looking at what it's doing. What's it telling you? What's it doing? What can it do? We all know what we want it to do, right? So we're going to look, we're going to see what it's doing. What is it telling us by doing what it's doing? And then what can it do from there in the future, next candles? And again, we all know what it wants to do. I want it to go up. I want it to go up and break these two highs right here. Okay, that high there, this high here. I want it to go break these two highs, which breaks us back into the box, hit my sell limit. That's what I want it to do. Okay, but we have to back it up. What is it doing right now? By doing what it's doing, what is that telling us right now? Okay, and then what can it do before it goes all the way up here and hits our limit? Okay, we know what we want it to do, but what is it doing and what can it do? So we bounced off those two lines, the inside bottom and the green line, which is the trade line, off of this low and this low. That was our bounce. It pulled up. It went through the red dashed line. What's the red dashed line off of? The red dashed line is from this point right here, this high to this high. That's our red dashed line. It broke through the red dashed line, and red candle pulled back to test the back side of it. Green candle, great. Now we're back at this high again. What do we want it to do? Well, we want it to break that high. I want it to break through that high. Will it do that? I don't know. And now what could it do? Okay, so grateful it broke through the red dashed line. Okay, where's it at? It's back up at the previous two highs. What do we want it to do? Well, we want it to go hit our sell limit. But what can it do? What could we see it doing? So let's not be surprised. I could see it come back down and test the backside of this red dashed line and the green line. I could see it do that. Remember, we said we could see this. We could totally see this bounce around. Okay? And then as it gets over here, it's going to get in that time push. It's going to get in a time crunch. It has to go somewhere. It's getting tight over here. So what's it going to do? What can we see it doing? Well, it is either going to break to the high side or it's going to get pinched out and break to the low side. Now it can go sideways through that line and go sideways further, but it's going to get tight. If that's what it does, guess what? We're okay with that. You have to be. You have to be okay with it. I mean, it's going to do what it's going to do. We can't control it. If I could control this thing, I'd make it right now go up and hit my sell limit. Wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? If I could control it and make it do what I wanted it to do, I'd make it go up and hit my sell limit. I have no control over it. So we have to look at what can it do and then just be ready and react. Right now, I'm at 120. I talked about this several times. Again, that could break out to the low side or the high side. It could do either or. So low or high. Now, right now I'm at 115. Okay, it's back up to that high. Now, think about this. Over here, it pulled up to the bottom of the box, did not break it. Over here, pulled up to the bottom of the box, did not break it. Over here, pulled up to the bottom of the box, has not broken it. Is it going to break it? We don't know. Could it break it? Yes. But could it stay under it like it did here and here? Yes. So do we want to close out part of our trade? Again, that's a decision you should make. You should have that made ahead of time because we looked at it over here. Over here, when it was in the positive a little bit, I said, we're down 230. We could close out 9 contracts, leave 1 contract on, and made up some of that $230 loss. Right now, it was back over here. We were up like 130, I think. We could have closed out 10 contracts. Right now, we're at 100. We could close out 9 contracts and have 90 locked in of the negative 230. And if we locked in the 90, we'd only be down 140. So we could close out 9 right now because it may not get above that. And do we want to wait for this to bounce around all day before we make up some gains or make up some loss? So what I think I'm going to do, we're at 115, 120. I think I am going to go ahead and close off 9 contracts. We're at 120. I'm closing 9. We're down to 13. So we locked in about 107 of the 130. So we're still down 123. Now, the reason why I did that, why? Butch, why did you do that? Well, again, I'm getting ready to stop the stream pretty soon. Okay, we're at 11:20. I'm getting ready to stop the stream, and I wanted to do that for your guys' benefit. Yes, it could bounce around in here the rest of the day and then pop and hit my take profit, but I don't care. Right now, I minimized some of my loss. Now, instead of being down 230, we're down 123. Let's change this. I'm going to close this. We're going to close the sell limit because I don't like my runners. I don't like closing my winning trades. So if price at some point breaks out of here, and that's a big if because it hasn't done it 3 times, and it might do it now, guys. I don't know. But if it comes back up here and hits my sell limit area, am I kicking myself? No. I did what I did because I wanted to minimize the $230 loss that I had. Okay? Because after all, right off the bat, 3 minutes into the day, we were in a trade and I was in a $189 profit. That's the first 3 minutes. Okay, so by 9:33, and it's almost 11:30. So for 2 hours, after taking this loss, or in the negative, and closing that, and then being in this one, we've sat here for 2 more hours. Okay, and suffered through a little bit, right? And I'm okay with that. However, look at where we started, the beginning of the day, and look at what's happened. Now I need to change this. So you always need to make sure to change your stop order quantity to match your quantity you have on. I'm going to leave my stop below the 4-hour support and resistance level just in case it pops down there to test it. So
that's where I'll leave it. We'll watch it for a few minutes and watch it break this high and go to that sell limit. Again, you can't kick yourself. You make your decisions, you do what you do, and you have to be okay with it. I'm okay. If this goes up, I don't care, guys. If it pops up right now, if this was to pop right now and go hit that sell limit area, am I going to say to myself, wow, if I would have had that those other 10 contracts on, then I'd be in a positive overall in the day. The whole thing. That'd have been a great trade. Am I going to say that to myself? Sure. Okay. I'm not stupid. My mind works like everybody else's does. So again, if it pops and runs to the sell where the sell limit is, am I going to say that? Am I going to say, wow, had I not closed out the 9 contracts here, that'd be a pretty decent sized trade? Of course I'm going to say that to myself. Of course I'm going to think that. Am I going to kick myself that I closed out the 9 early? No, I'm not. I closed out the 9 when it was up 115.20. I closed out the 9 to help minimize my loss that I had earlier. I was down 230. Now I'm only down 123. Why? I was down 230. Now I'm only down 123. Why am I only down 123? Well, because I closed out 9 contracts when it was back at that level. Well, Butch, why did you close at that level? Why'd you close the 9 there? Well, I closed the 9 there because of these 2 areas right here. That one and that one. It pulled up to that price point and turned. It pulled up to that price point and turned. It pulled up to that price point, and it's still to be determined. Is it going to go down or is it going to break it? Right now, it looks like it's going to break it. But that is why I made the conscious decision to close there. Was because I'm looking back at the past. I'm looking at what happened over the last few hours. And over the last few hours, I see that it pulled up to that level and went down, pulled up to that level and went back down. We're back at that level. It could go down. Okay? Why would I think it's going to break that time? I don't know if it is or not. We just saw this candle right here that's red right now. We saw it wick above that high point. It looked like it was going to break it. But what happened? Well, it popped up there for a little bit, and it was green. Well, now it's red. That's the nature of the candles. So is it going to surprise me again? Go back to these lines right here. Okay. Is it going to surprise me? Oh, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this. Is it going to surprise me if it bounces around in here? No, it's not. We've planned that way back here. Over here when it was pulling back. When this started pulling back over here, we said, look where it could go. It could go back down to the 4-hour level. There's a trade line there. There's an inside bottom. Look at where it could go. That we said that over here. As we started seeing red candles. We started seeing red candles because it popped up and bounced at that previous high over here. Look at where it could go. We said it could go down. I could see it going down back to test the trade line, the 4-hour line even, or that inside bottom. When you have multiple lines, we have an inside bottom, we have a trade line. That's 2 lines. Over here, I could have seen it come back and test this because you had the back side of the red dash line, the back side of the trade line, the top side of the inside bottom. I could see it totally have pulled back there. It didn't do it. It went on up to the top and it's been hanging out. Okay. But again, we look and say, you know what? I could see it doing this. Okay. There's what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to do this right here. We wanted it right? We wanted it to do that right there. That's what we wanted. Well, I wasn't getting it, right? I wanted that back over here. When we took the first buy signal, we wanted it to go, or we took it back here. I took it back here off a structure change. I didn't wait for the buy signal. So I took it here off of right there, this green candle off of the structure change, being that we had this break here of this move down. We had a break, popped up, and this high broke past this high over here. Okay. And then it came down, turned again. We had a green candle in there, breaking this high right here. So we're saying, okay, structure's changed. We're going to go ahead and take it long. The 5 minute down here and 15 minute are both green. Even though the 1 hour's red, I said, let's go ahead and take it because it looks like that structure's changed from a sell structure to buy structure. We definitely had higher highs and higher lows in here, which is bullish structure. Let's take it long and trade it up to the mid box. That's our take profit 1-to-1. We just didn't get it. Okay. It quickly moved up. We were in profit and quickly pulled back and we were in the negative. And then we've sat here. Okay. Again, it moved up here. We were in profit again. We had a chance to close partial just to, like we just did, to minimize some of our loss. We were at negative 230. Didn't do it. Waited. Pulled back. It gave us another opportunity here. Okay. When it pulled through, gave us another opportunity. We're back in that positive position. Not much at all, guys. But we had a chance. It was pulled back up. So we had a chance over here to close out some to make up for some of the $230 loss. We had another chance here. So I took it. So I took this one. So when this one came back up, we were positive 120. 115, 120. Then we closed out, or I closed out 9 contracts, minimizing that loss. So instead of negative 230, now we're negative 123. Okay. And fine with that. Wouldn't you rather be negative 123 than 230 every day? Well, I don't want to see a negative trade every day, but would I rather be negative 123 than negative 230? Yes, I would. So is that good trade management? As far as what we're seeing, as far as what we've seen here over the last hour or so, right? As far as what we've seen over the last 2 hours, that to me is good trade management. I made the decision that if it got back up there, I was going to close out those 9, okay, of the 10 and minimize my loss, lower my loss that we had locked in. So we had a $230 loss locked in. Now we have a $123 loss locked in. Now I will lose a little bit if I leave my stop where it is. Okay, so I'm going to lose a little bit more back, but not a ton. So what we could do is I can move the stop up. It would be a little aggressive, but let's move the stop up here. Right now, where I'm in my order and where the price is right here, I'm at $14. And you'll notice that where my stop is, if I move my stop to like a 1-to-1, so from our entry order to where the price is, it's about where I put the stop just now. It's about a 1-to-1. So I'll lose $14. Okay. Which we're at 123, which would put us at 137 in the negative. And I'm okay with that. Now, that's me managing the trade. That's me managing the runner. So I'm less than negative 150 on the day. 100 and what did I say? 37. Somewhere around there. It's about 137 on the day negative. I would rather be that than the negative 230. Okay? To me, this has been a positive trade right now. And it is. We closed out some. Did we close out what we wanted on this second trade, this buy? No, we didn't. I did not close out what I wanted. I did not make what I wanted on this trade. I wanted it to come up here and hit my sell limit, right? That's what I wanted. But what did I get? Well, we had a whole lot of sideways movement here, back and forth in the negative positive. Finally, the third positive chance over here, because over here we're not going to close. That's too tight. We got in on this candle, moved up a couple. We were in the positive 100 something. We're not closing on that. We had our stop down here, so we're not even 1-to-1. We didn't close. Over here, we had a chance to close, but we don't know if it's going to break or not. That third time, I'm not taking a chance that it's going to break or turn. That's when I said it's enough. It hit here. I don't expect it to go through. So if I don't expect it to go through, close off part of it. Close off 10. We closed off 10. And that turned our negative 230 into a 107. Oh, no, we locked in 107. We locked in about 107. Turned in a negative 123. Now, is it going to break now and go to up there? I don't know. And again, if it does, am I going to kick myself? No. Mentally, am I going to think, man, yeah, okay, I could have left all 10 on? Sure. Yeah, that's going to cross my mind. Well, I just, could have left them all on. It would have went up. I'd be positive on the day, and that would be great. But right now, I'm less negative on the day. Okay? That's still a good day. You have to take those and turn them around. Don't call it a negative day. It is a negative day. So right now, if we get stopped out, if I pull a break even, and I get stopped out, we'll be at the, whatever I said, 137. 137 is less of a negative day than the 230. Okay? So you have to say to yourself, and this needs to cross your mind, I would rather be at a less of a negative day than I was when I started. Okay, when I took this second 10 contract trade short. Okay, now for me also, I want to look at that. So we did 10 contracts over here. If I would have done only like 4 contracts or 6 contracts on this second trade, well, I would have had the 10 contracts here and the 189 we locked in, and then on the 4 or 6 contracts here had a loss. So we would not have been so far in the hole if I would have only put on 4 or 6 contracts on this second trade. Okay. But I did what I did. I ran with 10 contracts again, and then I ran with 10 contracts over here. It did not make me gun shy. Okay. So just because we had a 10 contract trade here positive, and I had a 10 contract here negative. So just because I have a 10 contract trade here negative did not make me gun shy to go 10 contracts long here. Okay. I'm not going to let that loss, that 10 contract loss here, I'm not going to let it make my, make me waver over here and not go in with 10 on the buy. I still went in with 10. Because what will happen is you'll say, man, I don't know. I went in with 10 there, took a loss. I don't want to go in with 10 here and take a loss. So I'm going to go in with 2. You go in with 2 and it goes up to your sell limit way up here. Closes out 1. You'll have a runner. And then you're kicking yourself because you're like, well, I should have done 10 there. But I let this make my decision for me. And then what happens is, then the next day you say, you know what? I remember this scenario. I remember that. So over here, I'm going to put on the full 10, and then that ends up being a negative. And then the next day you're going, well, I shouldn't have done it. But then the next day you're going in with 2, and it does go to your target. And you'll end up back and forth forever on that. That's why you need concrete rules for your trading. There's our break. I don't want to pull to break even yet, but I am going to inch my stop up a little bit. We have our green line here. So we've got our green trade line up here. We also have this white dash line here, which is basically the inside top over here. And so it's the inside of this swing, right? Swing up, swing down. Inside of that turn is right there. Well, let's look over here. We have a swing up. Right here, it bounced under it a little bit and then went through. So up, down, inside of that turn. That's that white dash line. After it went through it here, it kind of came back to test it. So it's hung out between the two. What's it hung out between over here? Or really, it's hung out between that high and that inside top. So it's hung out there, finally broke it. So those look like some decent strong levels that could hold the 1 minute candles. So let's move our stop up some. And right now I could move to break even. Okay, so just moving it to break even, we'll get it out of the way. Again, the order didn't move. If you don't know about the modifier overlapping, right now our stop is over here. If you look at the price, 2840.3 is the price over here on the sidebar of our stop. And if you go here and right click and go no overlap, it's still 2840.3 if you look at the sidebar. So the line just looks like it moved. The stop's still at the same price. The only reason the line, and I wish the box would move and not the line, but that's just the way it works when you do the overlap. So again, we're just better than break even, okay? And then go no overlap just so you can see your trade of what you have on. So right now, I'm at a break even on it, and it's 1140, and it is moving up a little bit toward our sell limit. So right now I have no loss. Okay, so right now as the numbers sit, again, I was negative 230, and now I'm less negative on this session. On the day, I'm positive overall because I traded gold last night. And that's all on the Discord, but when I traded gold, I was up like 1,300 something, left my stop out for a potential loss on the one runner, and that runner got stopped out for a negative, I think it was 130. So in the end, I got a little over $1,100 for last night's trading. So I was already good on the day. I already had 500 for today, 500 for tomorrow locked in, or basically 500 for today, and my bonus of about, a little over 500, about 600 something change, locked in for the monthly bonus. That's extra. That's anything over 500 for me. So I'm looking for 500 per day and trade all 20 days of the month. So 500 per day is what I look for. Anything over that goes into my monthly bonus check. And you could pull from that. The monthly bonus check, that pool, that money, you can pull from that and cover a day where you don't want to trade. You got doctor's appointments or something. Cover a day or two or three when you're sick and don't feel like trading. Cover a day when you want to go on vacation, or a week or a couple days. That's what you pull. That's what that monthly bonus is for. Now, if you don't go on vacation, you're not off sick, and don't want to take a day off here or there, well, then it's just going to all bonus up to be a big bonus check at the end of the month. So it's been a decent day. I will take, again, a less negative day than what we had. A couple things to look at is one over here. We traded. I was up 189. Could you have been done for the day? Yes, you could. Not me, because I'm looking for 500. Okay. And technically, I didn't need to trade today, but I wanted to see if I could get 500 this session, trading the Russell this way. And so far, it has not panned out. It could have if I would have done a few things different. One being put on less contract on this short here. Two being stayed in the trade. Held true, stayed in it, and not closed out 9 here. I chose to close out 9 again because it hit that price level twice and turned. So there's no guarantee it will go through, right? There's never a guarantee. So since it hit the price level once, turned, hit the price level twice, turned, hit the price level 3 times, I closed 9. Thus minimizing my loss of the 230. So right now we're negative 123 and we're up 30. Let's see. So we're up 30. So where we got in, where the price is, we're up 30. If it keeps going up there and hits that, we'll be up about 50. So that's why I took my, again, sell limit off. I don't want to close my runner. If it does get up here to this level and it would close us out, we'd gain 50, which would we'd still be negative 73. So the goal is just to let this go and see what happens. Let it run its course. And then again, we get what we get. We don't throw a fit. So we're fine with the negative 123. Right now, we can't lose anything back on this trade. So this is a no loss runner right now. Because when we had our stop back here, down here, we could have, lost back some on the runner. And now we can't. We might get stopped out here. Oh, no, I forgot. I got the no overlap. So the line's not really there. It's down here. So not bad on the day. If you look at the moves, too, just look at the swing from the first 3 minutes of the session. Basically, it went down and went through level 1, through level 2, and touched level 3. So it did hit 3, take profit level 3, okay? Which, if you're scaling out like we did, I closed partial here. So we got in here and closed partial here, sorry. We closed 9 at TP1 as typically what we do just in case it doesn't go past it. It went on past it. If we were trailing our stop 1 level back, again, I like to wait for it to close past a level, and it never really did here. And I mean a good close, like a good candle close past. Then we trail our stop 1 level back. We've been stopped out over here. If it would have closed past. So there's our pullback. So we have a pullback to test what? Look at what it's testing right now. So right now it's pulled back to test that white dashed line. What's the white dashed line off of? It is off of these 2 highs right here. It's basically off this one back here. That's the one it was drawn off of. It tapped it here, hit it here where we closed out 9. And that's back where it's testing it now as support. So we'll see if that holds up. We also have our trade line there. So we got 2 levels, 2 lines of support. We have our highs here, our line off the highs, and we have our trade line. Now I'm not going to draw a retracement line off of these candles down because there's only 2, and we could see it's already, kind of going through that. I'd need to have more candles than that to draw a line. Guys, I wish these videos were shorter, but we're trading the whole, few hours in the morning. And I can't cram all this in because it just nothing, it didn't happen over here. I'd like to cram in everything I went over here at the end over here in the beginning, but that's not what we got. So hopefully you've stuck around, watched the whole video. I know they are very long when you get to watching a 3-hour video. All I can say is you got to make sure to watch them all the way through, because you don't know what you're going to miss. Just like this right here. Over here, all the stuff we've gone through this last, hour? Yeah, 10:35. And we're at 10:45. So basically an hour in, and I know some people aren't going to watch this all the way through. They're going to watch the first hour, if that. They're going to watch this first over here. And what's this right here? 9:45. That's our 9:45 line. They're going to watch this right here. That's the first 15 minutes of the video. I started the video at 9:30. And this line's 9:45. And they're going to watch the first 15 minutes of this video, and that's it. They're not going to watch the first 3 or the whole video, because we're going to run it up to noon. That's your 2.5 hours. And a lot of people won't watch the whole 2.5 hours. They're going to watch the first 15 minutes. They might watch a little bit after that when it pulls back. Who knows? But typically people aren't going to watch a whole video that's this long. And that's unfortunate, because they miss the very important part over here, what we just went through, where I closed out part of that trade in order to get less of a loss on the day. And who knows who knows? Some people watch the first 15 minutes, they're done. Some people watch a little bit longer. They'll see this. They'll see I got in short here and it pulled against me. They might even stick around to see that I took a loss on that one runner and the extra 10 I put on, and then never see us get into the buy. Others might see us get into the buy and then see over here we're in the negative. Then never watch over here. Never get to this point over here and see any of what was covered over there. All right, so it's wicked past. It's almost dumped us out. So price has wicked past that green line. And we have our inside top line. We're cutting it close. I wanted to do a break even. So I did pull price to break even instead of leaving the stop out there, and knowing that we could be wicked out or taken out. So again, price came down, hit that green line. It's kind of wicked below it. I'll pull it over here. And almost took us out. We have the inside top here, okay, which is basically, it was drawn off that green candle. That's the inside of this turn. And then if you look over here, it's the inside of this turn, okay? And then, we stayed above it here, but right now it's pulling down to it to test that level. So it could very well just wick down, take us out, or just pull down, take us out. And at that point, I'm definitely done for the day. So we're going to lose nothing. We're going to gain nothing. We're going to lose nothing. We're not even going to gain tip money. $4 isn't even a tip. So we just pulled it to barely better than break even. There we go. So we're out. So we didn't even get tip money on that. Maybe another $2. So we're about 122, 121. So again, we were 123 negative on the day. So we're 121 negative on the day. And again, I'd rather see that, how it happened here, than being the negative 230 on the day. So I'm fine with that. You should be totally fine being less negative than what you were on the day. That's still a good trading, because what that means is if you start out the day, now we started out the day positive, then took a negative, okay? That Did that put us upside down, guys? Let me go see. Let me pull the report real quick. Log back in. Let's log me out. Because we had 189 locked in. All right, let me pull it and look at it. There's the 189, and the runner runner from the 189 ended up negative 47 because, of course, that was closed out with the other 17, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we were negative 230. So I was negative 230 on the day second trade. And now we're negative like 121. So very happy with that. You should be happy because let's say we started off the day and went right in the hole. The first trade was the negative trade. Well, then we traded again and you do what we did today here and you're less negative. So you start out the day, you're negative $200, whatever, $100. And then later you're in the positive or still you're in the negative, but you're less negative. That is still great trading. That's good trading, okay? So don't kick yourself for having a losing day or losing session. So for me, I haven't had a losing day, again, because I traded last night. And I traded gold, and by the time it's said and done, made $1,100 and change. So I was already done for the day. Didn't need to trade this session. So this session for me is covered from last night's trading. Because again, it was 1,100 and change. So let's say it was 1,121 because it might have been around that. Well, we have negative 121 here. So I'm still up 1,000 on the day, okay, overall, because part of last night covers the negative 121 here. So for me, it's still not a negative day. It's a very positive day, $1,000. So I got my 500 for the day, 500 for bonus. But if I didn't trade last night, if I did not trade gold last night, then yes, during this session, if I didn't trade gold last night, during this session, I would start off 189 positive, took another trade, that turned, structure built up the opposite direction, and we closed out manually. Or I might have let it hit my stop. I can't remember on that one. But that threw us into a negative 230 on the day. And then ultimately then by closing out part of that third trade, well, then that put us into less of a negative day. Okay. And I'll take it. So for this session, it is a losing session for me. But it's negative 121 instead of negative 230. And again, I'll take that on a day. You should be willing to take that on a day. All right. That's what the bonus is for. That's what the bonus runners are for. The bonus is you lock in above your daily goal, which for me is 500. That helps cover stuff like this. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I will get it uploaded. Hope you watch till the end. Talk to you later. Bye.